Hey guys, Layna here. Welcome back to my channel. This channel is all about my recovery from anorexia. Today's video is what it is like to face food fears. I'm going to be talking about some of the feelings and emotions that come with facing food fears. This was requested by someone on my Instagram. So yeah, let's get right into the video. So the first thing that I would say that comes along with facing food fears is kind of like, for me at least, some excitement, being able to branch out and try new things. Like there's that initial like, oh wow, I can't believe I'm about to do this. This is crazy awesome. And I like suddenly get this like boost of like, I can do this and I can face this. So that's kind of just like the initial, like sometimes I'll be like, you know what, I don't need to be scared. I've got this. I can face this. And I'm pretty excited because haven't had it in a while. Because I've been afraid of it and restricted it for so long and made rules about it and saying, I know I can't have this. And so initially it can be exciting to face it. And then like it also can be scary. And I know that to some people it might seem silly to be afraid of food, but that is my fear. It's one of my fears is food. And so there's a lot of like fear that comes with it. It's very scary to face something that your mind has been telling you is bad and you can't have. It's scary. It's like someone who's afraid of heights going and standing on the Empire State Building, or someone who's afraid of the dark going and standing in a dark closet, or someone who's afraid of spiders going and holding a tarantula. It's kind of like that. So that's kind of what food fears are like. It's like facing your biggest fear. And there are still things that I'm utterly terrified of and I haven't faced yet. And I will eventually face them, but like there's a lot of feelings to process and work through as you face your food fears. It's not as simple as just eating it. It's not that simple. It comes with a lot of emotions and thoughts, intrusive thoughts, overwhelming thoughts, guilt-filled thoughts. That's another one, is guilt. It's not over once you eat it. Afterwards, sometimes there can be extreme guilt. And you may not always like physically show the guilt, like on your face or something. You may hide it inside. But there oftentimes can be feelings of guilt, like I shouldn't have eaten this, or I can't believe I did this. And then there is like the temptation to restrict afterwards to compensate for it, at least for me. And it's important to not do this because it will honestly just create an unhealthy relationship with food and food fears, and you don't need to compensate for facing your fears. It's good to face your fears, but it is filled with a lot of guilt. And I know to a lot of people it might seem silly to be guilty over enjoying something, but a lot of the times it brings me this feeling like I've failed. And I feel like I've failed to properly do my eating disorder, right? I one time had a doctor tell me that like if you do your eating disorder right, it will really hurt you. And he kind of basically said that I didn't do the eating disorder right. My eating disorder has hurt me in a lot of ways, and he's said that if you do it right, you'll wind up in a hospital, right? But that's not true at all. If anybody's ever said that to you, ignore them, because there is no right way to do an eating disorder. There's no right way to do it. Any way that it happens is harmful. Anyone who thinks that there is a right way or a stereotypical way to do an eating disorder is wrong. There's no right way to do an eating disorder. And oftentimes the eating disorder tells me that if I eat a food fear or I face a food fear, I'm not doing my eating disorder right. That's not true. There is no doing it right. There is no doing it right. An eating disorder is harmful and bad. there's no right way to do it because it is a harmful thing. There's no right way to do harmful things. Another thing that happens with facing food fears is over-analyzing. So my doctor told me something that made a lot of sense to me. She said that I overanalyze food, and that is true. So when I eat a food fear, I overanalyze over every nutrition fact, over every little thing. I pick it apart and I rip apart what I just ate, and it is torturous to the mind. Oftentimes I can spend about an hour or two after eating that food fear thinking about it and worrying about it. And even if I'm doing something else, like with my family, like if I'm watching a movie with my family, I'm oftentimes thinking about what I just did. People don't know that, but it doesn't stop right after you eat it. It doesn't stop. It sometimes can continue out through the whole day, the whole week. You can feel guilty about it for a very long time. And it's torturous. It's torturous to the mind. It feels like torture sometimes, to be honest, what I do to my brain after I eat a food fear. I mean, there are those few times where after I eat a food fear, I don't feel guilty about it. Like, I didn't feel guilty for having French fries that one time that I posted on my Instagram. I didn't feel guilty for it. I have no idea why, but I didn't feel guilty. But I do feel guilty about a lot of other things. One of my biggest food fears is sweets and baked goods, like cookies, and that's really scary for me. I'm still working on that. I'm still working on a lot of things, and honestly, one thing I do have to say is that just because you eat a food fear once doesn't mean that it's not a food fear anymore. A lot of people assume that that's what that means. Like, people who don't have eating disorders often think, oh, they ate their food fear. It's not a food fear anymore. That's not true. Oftentimes you have to repeatedly eat it until it becomes less scary and becomes a bit more normal, because you've restricted it from your eating for so long that it has become terrifying. And so yeah, it might take a bit of time to make that food something that is safe again. There's fear foods and there's also safe foods. I have a few safe foods. Like, if you guys are following me on my Instagram, you'll definitely see some of the repeated foods that I have. Like, one of my safe foods is stir fry. One of my safe foods is pudding. One of my safe foods is salads. Protein bars are a safe food for me. Cereal used to be a big fear food of mine. But if you are at the point of facing food fears, what I recommend, and this is going to sound really scary, is just repeatedly having it. I was really scared of cereal. I don't know why, but I was. And so I just had it multiple times, and it has become a serious safe food for me. Okay, sorry guys, the video totally cut out on me. Sometimes my phone just stops recording, and it's really weird. But yeah, anyways, I recommend just repeating it over and over again. And I know it's scary to branch out from your safe foods, but it's really important when facing food fears to just branch out from your safe foods. And you can do this slowly if that is more comfortable for you. I made fear food jars. I haven't used them as much as I should. But if you don't want to choose per se what you face that day, you could get a jar, a container, anything, a baggie, and write on some slips of paper some of your fear foods. You can have a separate one for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and snacks and desserts. Like, you can have as many categories as you wish. and just pull one out and use it or have that meal. It's really up to you. And that's one of the ways that you can face your food fears. Because I'm very indecisive, and so I'm like, oh, food fear jars are perfect because I don't have to decide. I just let the jar decide for me. But yeah, one of my food fears that I'm hoping to face soon is a milkshake. And one of the things that I'm trying to incorporate with my food fears is not compensating for it. Because, guys, this is really important. Listen up, guys. You do not need to compensate for anything. You have eaten, you have done what you have not done. You do not need to compensate. Compensation is so toxic to your mental health, relationships with food, relationships with movement, relationships with life. It is so toxic, and you do not need to compensate. Your body will thank you for facing a food fear. I'm 100% sure of this. And yes, for everybody it's different, but it might upset your stomach at first because you haven't had it for a long time. If this happens, do not be afraid. It just means your body is trying to get used to it again and normalize it again, and become at peace with the foods that you have restricted from yourself for a long time, or a short period of time, however long you have restricted it. So yeah, there's a lot of overanalyzing, guilt, mental bullying, torture that comes with it. And I feel like that's the most unseen about eating disorders, is the mental abuse that comes with it. Because I feel like there's a lot of assumptions that once you eat your food fear, it is no longer a food fear. I've had people be like, well, you ate this last week, or you ate this certain period of time ago. And they're like, why can't you face it again? Or why is it still scary for you? Well, just because I ate it once doesn't mean that it's not scary anymore. Like, if you go and sit in a dark closet for 5 minutes when you're afraid of the dark, there might still be a little bit of fear associated with darkness. It's not automatically gone. It takes time. It takes time to heal your relationship with food. It's really scary to face food fears. And it's a good thing. And whatever emotion you're feeling about facing your food fear, it's valid and it's real and it's okay. Whatever you're feeling is okay. And please, if you guys do face food fears, please, I would love this. If you guys do face some food fears, DM me a picture of what food fear you faced, or you can just DM me and tell me what you faced. I would love to hear about it, guys. Here is my Instagram for my recovery. I post there a lot. I'm pretty much always on. Here is my TikTok. I don't really post there very often, but I'll put it in here anyway. As I said, please, I would love to hear from you guys and see the food fears you guys are facing, or just hear about them and hear about your guys' experiences. I would love to be here for moral support as well. So if you guys need a cheerleader, I'm your girl. I will hype you guys up. Thank you so much for watching this video. I love you guys so much. We're actually getting super close to 400 followers on my Instagram, and that means the world to me. Thank you so much, guys. I honestly appreciate it so much. You guys are so sweet, and thank you for all your support. And don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you guys know when I post videos. Thank you all for watching. I love you guys so much. Keep kicking eating disorder butt, and remember, you are valid. Bye, guys.